Good morning, everybody. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nur Hidayati. I'm the Executive Director of Walhi, the Indonesian Forum for Environment. I also would like to thank the organizer of this meeting, the Mekong-ASEAN Environmental Week, and especially to my friend Yang, who has contacted me and invited me to join this important event. So the organizer asked me to bring up the theme of the ongoing struggle on land, foods, and livelihoods in Southeast Asia, and I will speak in the experience from Indonesia. Next slide. So my presentation will be divided into three areas. First, the imperatives that we are facing right now related with the ecological crisis and ongoing conflicts. The second part is talking a little bit about the root causes of those crises and what we can do, or our proposal towards a just recovery. So when we talk about Indonesia, Indonesia is one of the country in Southeast Asia that are at the moment is in the situation of ecological crisis in the form of a lot of ecological disasters. So this is the data from the the disaster agency in Indonesia. It shows that this year until September, there are already 2,080 disaster incidents in Indonesia. And if we can see the box on the right, you see that the three most frequent disaster in Indonesia is floods. The second is the typhoon, and the third is the landslide. If you see this disaster, they are all caused by the hydrometeorological disaster, and with the ecosystem balance that are already destroyed, the impact of this extreme weather, climate change become more severe and can create a lot of disasters. And you can see that during this period, about 4.3 million Indonesian have been impacted due to this natural and also ecological disasters. The next slides, we see that together with other countries in the world, Indonesia is also experienced the COVID pandemic, and different from other countries that are already recovering, Indonesia is actually still experiencing increased number of infected people. And as of yesterday, we see that we saw the highest number of infected people, that is reached 4,000 people in one day. And if we see this pandemic, it's also has something to do with the destruction of the environment, as the UN Environment Report suggests that deforestation, climate change, the disruption of human into the habitat of the wildlife have also been identified as the increasing zoonotic diseases in the world. And although during the pandemic, we are still experiencing a lot of conflicts. This is the example of conflicts that we in Walhi involved in, and working with the community, assisting the community during this period of pandemic. So from January until early September, we handled about 18 cases that happen in 12 provinces. It includes violence against community done by the state apparatus, criminalization of activists and also the community members, and also a lot of land grabbing incidents experienced by the local community and also indigenous peoples in Indonesia. So this is one example that are still happening right now. The fisher folks in South Sulawesi is fighting against a sand dredging company from the Netherlands that is backed by the government. And this company enters the fishing ground of the community and created a lot of destruction. And when the community, the fisher folks, trying to fish in the fishing ground, they are evicted by the police and also the military, as you see in the picture. So this is some facts of inequality that are still happening in Indonesia. 60% of 190 million hectares of land areas in Indonesia has been allocated for extractive industries concession like logging, monoculture plantation, including oil palm and also wood plantation, and also mining concession. And if we talk about oil palm, for example, Indonesia is is the biggest producers of palm oil in the world. And this oil palm has been planted in the area covering 16.3 million hectares, or approximately 1/3 of Thailand. And also Indonesia is one of the producer of wood chip in the world. And for this wood plantation in Indonesia, it covers around 11 million hectares. And the concentration of land use for extractive industries like this has created a lot of conflicts, like I show you previously. So in 2019 alone, there were 267 agrarian conflicts happening, and also have been reported to the government. And until now, these conflicts have not yet found any clear resolution or ways on how to settle the conflict. And also in 2019 alone, there were 115 persons that we can record it have been the victim of state and corporate violence and also being criminalized. So all these injustices and inequality is actually, from our analysis, have several root causes. So if we cannot address these root causes, we still face the same conflict, the same crisis, and also ecological disasters. So we see that the addiction towards economic growth, in this context, the GDP growth, has become the mantra and political goal of the government. So every year, for example, our president will go to the General Assembly, People's General Assembly, and will report what is the economic growth of Indonesia for this year. So the higher the economic growth, the better. It means the government said to be successful in developing the countries. And for us in Indonesia, economic growth in essence is actually the liquidation of nature in rapid rate and in a massive scale. And this has brought consequences in the form of depletion of nature's carrying capacity and also depletion of natural resources, and also the pollution to the environment with hazardous and toxic pollutants that are dangerous not only for our generation but also for the future generation. But on the other hand, we most of us know that economic growth does not equal welfare for many people in the society. For example, in the case of Indonesia, according to Oxfam's report in 2017, the richest 1% in Indonesia have the wealth equals to 49% of all Indonesians. And 4 richest men in Indonesia actually have wealth equals to 100 million poorest Indonesians. So you see that Indonesian government always proud of their high economic growth, like 5-6%, and in the past it was even higher. But if we see the gap, the inequality is a very big, very large between the richest and the poorest in Indonesia. And in the context of COVID, we always say that how can we build back better? Me personally, I don't really like the term build back because we don't want to go back to the previous situation that we were before the pandemic. We want something different. And since the current system is the one that has created the crisis and the pandemic and make us all sick, then we need to see something totally different from the current system. So I think we are all in the crossroads right now for a system change and also ecological recovery. We cannot just go back to the previous situation. We need to find another way. We need to go to the different direction. And for this, there are at least 4 things that could be done and we must pursue in our just recovery. First, we need to look at the current system that are based on the neoliberal economic system, and with all the indicators, we somehow need to find another or the alternative sign of progress. We cannot just look at the number or economic growth and then expect it automatically translates to people welfare and also the better situation of the society. The second is we call for the democratization of the living space governance. It means the fair share for all class in society and also all sectors in the society. and especially with affirmative policy and action for the most marginalized. We can do it by doing several steps. First is stopping the expansion of the extractive industries, including monoculture plantations. The second is implementing the agrarian reform in the form of deconcentrations of ownership of natural resources and living space, and also redistribution of those natural living space for all people in Indonesia. And the third is really making the people as the main actors. Currently, we are in the era of corporate taking the leading role in what's so-called development. Even government right now privatize most of the basic essentials services and giving it to the corporate actor. This must change for just recovery. The third is we must do ecological recovery and also protection of the essentials ecosystem, such as peat ecosystem, karst, mangroves, and also fresh water resources. We need to look at the current areas of monoculture and also the land that has been destroyed by mining operation, for example, and we must do a total ecological recovery so that this ecosystem can be recovered and can sustain their system as well, together with the people who lives in those ecosystems. And lastly, we need to look at our current mode of production of materials. We need to really implement the circular economy based on Earth's regenerative capacity. It means resource efficiency. We cannot do like wasting our raw material, but looking at the recycling, and in every point of value or product creation, we need to as much as possible to make it efficient in the resource use and energy, and also minimum in waste production. And the last is we need to make goods and products that have longer use. So we must not use any single use product anymore. We need to make sure that the thing that we are using can be used for a longer period of time. I think that's it, that what I can present to you, and looking forward to the discussion. Thank you.